So good morning again. Thank you so much for the invitation. It's an honor to be here. I believe that we might have an interesting conversation. The objective is to have some good takeaways to take from this beautiful city out to our back to our offices. We'll try not to sell our companies as much as possible, but try to share something from our experience. It's a tremendous experience on the stage. We have integrators, we have payment providers, acquirers, facilitators, and so on. So I believe that we should use these minutes in order to address as many questions as we can. And the topic of today is to discuss about the future of payments. Imagine that. So gentlemen, good morning. I would like to have a briefly introduction of each of you, like 10 seconds, because we have only 40 minutes, to introduce who you are, what are your company doing, and to propose one trend that you see that will change our, let's say, same discussion in 5 years' time. One trend. And why? Yeah, so let's start with Felix, maybe.
Hi, my name is Felix Crișan. I'm one of the co-founders of Netopia, and I believe that in the future, people will not care so much what kind of methods they are using to pay, as long as it's in their phone or in their watch or in their whatever. So from the consumer's point of view, things will need to be very seamless.
So embedded payments, okay? Mr. Ernest?
Yes, hello, I'm Ernest Bischberg. I had a presentation yesterday about the trends in payments. I'm happy to continue this discussion on trends in payments here. I'm from Worldline Financial Services. We are practically providing processing services in different areas, cards, account payments, and many other areas to banks and financial institutions. And related to the trend, related to your question.
One trend that you propose.
One trend.
And why?
Instant payments, I believe. There are a couple of others as well, but instant payments, in my opinion, it's being regulated. It's around us. It has been kicked off in multiple countries. The Eurozone is making a big emphasis on that. We can see other initiations and go-live situations in other countries. I believe that this is going to be, after cards, the next trend, which is...
after cards, the next
yes.
trend, because we'll
yes.
address this immediately.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
thank
yes.
you.
Good morning also from my side. I'm Kostas Fiakas. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of Inform Group, part of Austria Card Holdings. First of all, thank you very much for having me here, and congratulations for this very
Thank you for being here.
Yes, nice event. Austria Card Holdings comes with a very long history, 126 years. The company has transformed a lot all this period through mergers and acquisitions. Austria Card was a milestone, being also the market leader, one of the market leaders in Europe in the payments and the card business. And the company is also in the digital transformation solutions. Now, with respect to your question, I believe that AI and data will play the role, because technology is here, technology is evolving. We see all these regulations, PSD2, APIs. I believe that the part of the customer experience and the data and AI will make the difference the coming years.
Okay, so artificial intelligence.
Thank you. I don't need the microphone, but I give it to the next one. So I'm Panagiotis Kriaris. I represent a fintech company active on the payment space called Dunzer. Most of you probably don't know the name. And in terms of the trends, so I would say that we are transitioning to an era of mass personalization, meaning that we are going away from the traditional model of the personal relationships. And despite this fact, we are still going to be able to have this personalization on a massive scale. How do you do this? It's part of the discussion.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Hugo Araújo. I'm the CEO of CIBS Romania Home Card. I tend to agree with my colleagues in the panel. I believe that embedded and instant will be the next thing, and the rails, the API rails will give us a lot of opportunities to personalize the experience of consumers, and will help to achieve these embedded payments ideal, let's say.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, good morning. My name is Alex Mihalache. I'm managing products in Visa. Very nice to be here in this amazing panel on this amazing topic. Being last, I will have to take one of the trends that was presented before, embedded payments, definitely. And by embedded payments, I'm referring to one-click payment in e-com, seamless, completely seamless payment in face-to-face transactions. So just walk in, walk out, so payment is done.
Embedded payments again.
Yeah, embedded payments again.
Okay, so building on that, there is one question, because we are still talking about trends changing in the industry and so on for years already. At least from my beginning of my career, we are still talking about changing a lot of things, but there is one single question that remains in the industry. And that one is cash or card. Do you recognize that? Cash or card? We are going to pay restaurants, shops, online, right? Cash or card. So the question is, you can start, Alex, because it's on you for the moment, but the gents here will build on that, I hope. So how do you see this question to be changed in 5 years' time? It will be changed, that's one question. And yes, if yes, how? And most importantly, why do you think that?
Well, that's an amazing question. So first of all, it's changing already. Because if we look at how we pay, we take the example of the restaurant that you took. We see already many apps where restaurants are integrated in the app, and then you pay in the app. You order in the app, going to the restaurant. You even pre-book the restaurant in the app. And then the full payment process goes inside the app. So even now, there are examples where you don't need to answer that question or have the question of cash or card. And then what happens in the app? What is the payment method in the app? Of course, it's going to be the easiest in terms of user experience.
I have one comment on this app trend within physical, let's say, businesses. Personally, I saw many failures in this kind of approach. The reason being that people are looking for connections. So basically, when you are going to a restaurant, you are enjoying discussing with the staff, with the waiter, for instance. And people do not feel that they need to order from within the app and just pay within the app and eventually to be served by a robot or something, right? Because we saw a lot of, movies about the future when a robot is coming with a steak and so on. We are not we are not built like that. So
that's a very interesting question.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, definitely, that's a very interesting question going to the psychology of how we interact socially and how we pay. But again, going to what Felix said in the beginning, most probably is going to be cash or phone.
Embedded. Okay, I can resonate with embedded. Okay, thank you. Maybe Hugo can.
Yes, I believe that.
Cash or card?
Yes.
In 5 years' time.
A few years ago, like 10 years ago, typically in this type of conference, there was always a sentence of someone's presentation which was cash is still king. And lately, in the last few years, we don't see this sentence anymore. I think that after COVID, or the COVID scenario helps a lot the industry to leapfrog in terms of the share of cash in the economies, but there's still a challenge of bringing this population that is still using cash to cashless payments. But basically, I believe that's what we are seeing in the last few years, and in that sense, COVID helped a lot. Not only in the traditional channels, but developing alternative channels on the corporate side. Is a very fast trend of migration from cash to cashless. So I believe that the future, again, it will be embedded, and probably it will be mobile phone or any other wearable that we'll have. And we are starting to see the first, let's say, experiences in this Internet of Things payments and so on, with use cases that are starting to gain ground. So I believe that the future will be cashless. It will take time, but it will be clearly cashless.
Cashless meaning that we'll be still using cards. Embedded, no. Okay, one click, embedded, and so on. But exactly. We are still discussing about interfaces on top of the cards.
I believe that the card will be still a very relevant payment method with next few years. We are assisting on a first wave of virtualization of cards, and this is happening in the last few years. And at some point, we might assist of a dematerialization of card, and you will have another token that you can call it card or another thing, but it's just a token for your payment account. Yeah. So yes, along the next few years, either a card virtualized or dematerialized, it will be
But still on top of the card. I mean, the card being the main link between the consumer and the bank account.
In the first wave, yes. So virtualization first of the card, and then dematerialization. Having said this, the card might still be a token for your account. Doesn't exist physically, but it's still the token for your payment account.
Yeah, token is a beautiful innovation. I have to agree on that. Okay, so
I take a slightly different approach. So I think this is actually yesterday's question. So if you see all the discussions that we are having today, yesterday, it's all about moving away from cash and cards, instant payments, account-to-account payments, open banking, the API, the local schemes, the digital euro. Look at all these things. Everyone is moving away from cash and away from cards. Away from cash because it is inefficient, even though if you look, for example, at PSD3, you're going to see some provisions around cash, but the only reason is because you want to have this as a safeguard for groups that are probably, they don't have so good access to the other means of payments. And if you look at the cards, it's the let's say, eternal question that we have in Europe, that we have too much of a dependency on the US rails. And all these things that I mentioned is an effort that we follow on a European level to go away out of this dilemma. So for me, it's not a dilemma around cards or cash. I think it's probably going to be a multi-rail, as I call it, payments landscape. Cards are not going to vanish. Cash is going to exist as well. But the bet is on moving to something which is more efficient. And I think that's something that we are already seeing happening.
If you are talking payments and efficiency, I believe that the main KPI for payments is speed.
One of the KPIs. Mm-hmm.
We saw when Apple Pay entered the market, they won market just because of speed. I mean, there are a lot of initiatives.
I will tell you why Apple Pay won the market, because they don't require the PIN. That was the,
and that's speed, right? That's speed. Yes. Okay, so if we are talking about an initiative to be faster than the cards, then I believe that it will be a potential winner of changing the question. So how do you think that the question will change in 5 years in the restaurant? We'll go in a restaurant having a dinner, and the question when to pay the bill will be?
A digital wallet.
No wallet, of course, no wallet, no cash. Let's suppose that is no cash, but it will be cards or?
It's not, that's what I'm saying, I disagree with you. It's not cards or cash, because you tend to focus too much on what you're doing today. I think you have to forget today's or yesterday's experience, and you have to see the broader picture. And the broader picture is moving away from this question. It's not cards or cash, right? I mean, you say speed. Apple actually was not successful because of speed. It was successful because of the ecosystem. Speed is a given, but it's the ecosystem behind this. And the reason why you are now discussing about instant payments is because it's now becoming a given for the consumers and for the businesses. And whoever has experienced today the instant payments, so the transfer of an instant payment, so I do a transfer now, and in 2 seconds it's sitting on my account in the other side of the room, then you're not going to go back. So for me, again, even though these means of payments are going to continue to exist, I think that the discussion and the question is much, much broader.
So we can hope that it will be, the question basically can disappear in 5 years. If we are building on embedded payments, instant payments, full digital payments, basically the customer will say, I want to pay, and that's it.
Ideally, the customer, well, ideally, but there are two types of ideal. Ideally, the customer will not say anything, and they will just go into the restaurant, and they will walk out, and then somebody will charge their whatever account. Sometimes later, because they recognized based on their Face ID or some. But for me, I declare myself a freedom maximalist, and from this point of view, I believe that cash still has a room, and there will be people. I'm not part of the people. I never have cash on me. I always pay with my phone. But there will be people who will keep on to using cash only because it's a freedom. It's an expression of freedom. And the more restrictions are put on the banking rails and on the card rails and or the whatever rails, the more people will still want to use these other alternatives, which are less intrusive and less being able to be controlled by the state. Let's not forget that one of the reasons why, for instance, Revolut was so successful in Romania was the fact that up until 1 year ago, ANAF could not instate this garnishing of accounts if you had a Revolut account. So all the taxi drivers and all the people that had fines to pay to ANAF or whatever, they were using Revolut just because of that. So there are always sides of the equation that we do not see and which dramatically impact the end result of the market.
Yeah, cash also is providing mentally, a control for the consumer. That's one of the reasons that Germany, for instance, is run by cash. Yeah. After the second door, they just need to be in control and to be free, so they are using cash supposedly to support those needs. So, Ernest, right? How do you see from the acquirer perspective that will distribute acquiring services to serve the payment needs in the 5 years' time? So how the question will look from your perspective?
Yeah, let me try and approach this from a little bit of a different angle.
Okay.
So if we go back, right, to the basic purpose and activity of a bank, which is to collect money, collect account money, and distribute that money and realize a margin on that, right? So what we can see that currently all the new trends are somehow directed towards the accounts, right? It's towards the accounts which are held on the banks. The money, which is practically a debt of the bank towards me, who I'm holding my money into the bank, is practically, all the transactions are related to that money which is there, right? Cash is not like that. Cash is not in the bank. Cash is with me, right? It's practically the central bank's money, and it's my money. What I have in my pocket, I don't have in the bank account. And the trends, all the trends that we are seeing here is to redirect the traffic from cash into the bank account, right? It's the interest of the banks. So now, is that good or not good? Of course, it has good parts, it has also less good parts. The good part is that the banks are getting all the money and they can utilize that money on their own purposes. But is that good for the economy? Let's suppose cash disappears from the economy, right? What happens? Then the banks are going to be in a monopolistic situation. They can dictate, right? They can impose negative margins, negative interest rates. What can I do? I have no alternative. Cash is an alternative, is to compensate this type of situations. Therefore, central banks are taking action and they decided to modernize the cash. How do they modernize? They are starting central banks' digital currency, CBDC. Yeah? So they are coming out with the CBDC. We have a regulation which came out in I think June, a regulatory package which included the regulation. Well, it's yet in a proposal phase. It's included the regulation on the digital euro. That the digital euro is going to be accepted as a means of payments, just like coins and just like paper, banknotes. It will be the equivalent, the digital currency, it will be the equivalent of that money, which again, I'm not holding in the bank account. It's my interaction directly with the central bank in a certain way. Okay, the banks may be the distribution channel for that, but at the end, that money is going to be my money. It's not going to be, the bank has nothing to do, none of the banks has nothing to do with, anything to do with that. So this is going to change the game. And I'm coming back to your question, cash or card. I think cash, well, digital payments, I would say digital. It's going to be digital, definitely. It's not going to be cash like we are using cash now. But that's what I can see. You asked me at the beginning, okay, say a trend. I say instant payments because that was closer to us. But if you ask me, say two trends, I would say instant payments and digital currency, right? So that's what I can see. And yeah, and then we can go even further, you know. Me as a consumer, I'm going to buy something. So I'm a little bit somehow disturbed, you know, with what to pay, right? So, but coming back to this digital currency, there is another point. So imagine the situation like I would decide in one point, because everything is digital, so I can make a quick transfer, quick conversion from my account money into my CBDC, right? It's just like that. It's a few seconds and it's done. What if we all do that? What happens with the banks? So therefore, there is no perfection in anything, right? Even the CBDC is not perfect because of this, because it could be a threat for the commercial banks. Like at one point, if there is a problem with the bank, everybody hears it, immediately I just do a quick transfer of my account money into my CBDC wallet, and I take all my money there. So what happens with the banks? That is a threat in a certain way, and that's why it's considered to be limited how much CBDC me as a person can hold in my wallet, that I cannot transfer everything. Okay, but if I cannot do that, okay, then this could just be an alternative for certain purposes. It cannot be the main direction for me, the main option, right? The main payment method to be used. So, but I stop here. We could talk for hours about this, and
it's a beautiful perspective. I believe that I think that what is coming up here is that we are still having two words, main words. One is cash because of freedom, control, and so on, and one is the bank account around which we are building some rails. Yeah, some, let's say, digital products, digital interfaces, embedded, instant, and so on. Costas, speaking about the digitalization.
Yes, first of all, I believe that cards, cash will be eliminated, but they will stay, yes, but will stay. Although we see trends from the neobanks, digital banks, fintech banks, that they want to invest in the physical cards because they feel that this is the physical connection between them and the customer. We see this trend because we have more than 100 fintech customers in our group. Also, there is a roadmap. There are new things in this area, like biometric cards for the authentication. On the other hand, the part of the digital payment will dominate because the whole industry goes in this direction. You see that fintech and organizations without financial history, like the commercial banks, take now a significant part of the pie. In e-commerce, there are all possible ways to do payments. We have the digital wallets, we have the tokenization, Apple Pay, Google Pay, etc. We have the virtual cards. So the whole industry and tools are going in this direction. And of course, through this process, it will be personalized services, and the end customer, the user, is going also to have the benefits as a loyalty approach. So it will be a trend in a way that they will like it, and they will use it in all actions.
So basically, we can say that biometrics can be a strong, let's say, not necessary trend, but investment in the future, mainly because using biometrics, we can obtain payment speed, right? Because authenticating the customer it's on the way to perform the payment.
Yes.
So having this authentication process as fast, as an instant as possible, we can obtain that use case that mentioned by Felix, that we are entering the store, exiting the store, and we are just paying. Sometimes we don't know when. It's like when Uber launched, if you remember, everyone was amazed that they were exiting the car without any payment interaction. That was magic.
Yes.
So that was one of the biggest innovation in the industry, I believe.
But Daniel, if
Please,
I
Alex.
may add on the topics that were discussed. Very interesting point on the cash as well. The general consensus is that most probably cash is here to stay. And then another question would be how we access the cash. Going back to, again, the discussions.
Exactly.
How we access the cash here domestically, how we access the cash when we go travel somewhere where maybe payment instruments, digital payment instruments embedded, whatever, card or anything else, are not available to us people that are living somewhere else. How do you access cash? And then most probably the answer is that it's going to be a mix of things.
Absolutely.
We focused a lot on talking about most probably domestic, regional payment methods. We need to also think about the global experience of paying. People are more and more globalized. We travel more and more. We want more experiences. What if I, again, go to Thailand or I go to Mexico? It is the question of also the payment instrument that will have the most reach globally as well. And then a mix of payment instruments that can happen domestically in a different way and outside of the domestic space in a different way. In the end, it's going to be a question of user experience, best user experience that embeds everything: authentication, payment speed, accessibility to the payment instrument, cost as well. Cost is very important, definitely, for all the players also for the consumer, the cost that is transferred to the consumer as well. And then, yeah.
So basically the challenge would be how to connect the consumers in the local markets with the merchants globally.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay, thank you. I would like to invite you to prepare the questions because I see that we have only 7 minutes. I'll try to run a second round of discussion, and after that we'll take some questions. Personally, I'm confused about artificial intelligence. Currently, I do not know how to digest and to integrate in my, let's say, expectations about the business in the future. So the question and the kind request would be if we can put some ideas. How do you see artificial intelligence? What could be the impact in our businesses in the near future?
I can start because I have two very quick points. First one is that at least as it all around the business area now, artificial intelligence is just a productivity enhancement tool. So it will be in the present. And for the moment, this will be the area where artificial intelligence also in the payment landscape will be mostly used, meaning that, for instance, it will let us determine fraud faster, or will on the consumer side will let us I don't know, get more personalized recommendation. But as a long term, I don't really see, as long as all the systems involved in the payment industry work on some ISO standards, I don't really see a place for artificial intelligence moving inside the payment systems. They will be always as a helper tool for some processes around the payment systems.
Yeah, because at the base of the system, we have the databases. On top of the databases, we add the machine learning systems. And on top of machine learning, we might be able to add some AI services, but it's still unclear how to do that. If you can add some ideas on artificial intelligence.
Yes, so looking at it from the bank's perspective, well, of course, I can also see a couple of areas. Customer interactions definitely will be affected, right? Chatbots and all types of channels might be linked or powered by artificial intelligence. And then on the security side, of course, fraud management could benefit out of that. So managing the fraud related to the transactions, in an e-commerce environment, when we get to risk-based authentications, then again, it's also, fraud artificial intelligence can play an important role. However, there is a question, and I leave this question open for now, but when we are delegating the decision to an artificial intelligence engine, who's going to take the responsibility? Yeah? Whose responsibility will be the decision of the artificial intelligence module? And in case of disputes, how do we manage this? So there are still a lot of open questions related to that, which needs to be solved. And of course, the industry is looking for the answers. We, Worldline, are looking for the answers, although we are also using artificial intelligence. But we get these questions in many cases from our customers, right? Okay, you are using an artificial intelligence model. Okay, but what happens if that is wrong? So do you take the responsibility? Good questions, right?
Very good one, thank you. Kostas.
I will tackle it from the way we also approach it. From one side, we see the virtual assistants, that is a tool, but it's a real helper that will assist the user and the client to make the payment, to do the whole journey.
So basically customer support, customer interaction.
Exactly, full customer support, because the customer needs the support. The journeys are nice, but still needs a lot of guidance in order not to stop the whole process. This also combined with ChatGPT can give a lot of information to the customer that will be needed as part of a knowledge base. And of course, available in omni-channel, all available digital channels. And from the data-driven point of view, it will help a lot the organization for the part of customer retention, profitability analysis per customer or per unit, definitely in anomaly detection and fraud, as the previous gentleman mentioned. And something that we see for the future, and we are also in this domain, has to do with what if scenarios in order to be able to bring the current status of the company in the future. So to be able to create the data set that is needed in the future to see how your company, how your operations will look like. And
so basically what I understand is that we can let's say envision a customer support team fully let's say delivered by AI. Because currently, in payments, for instance, Felix is... yes. But in payments, we need to supervise transactions, right? And to have a 24/7 supervising service, we need a team of minimum 6 people. And depending on the volumes, we need to grow that team. So imagine the costs associated with that team. So we might somehow, let's say, think about implementing AI and keeping only 2-3 clever guys to manage the systems and to sleep during the night. Okay.
Daniel, you still have 1 minute left.
Yeah, thank you. So
I'll try to be very brief, given that we don't have time. So if we don't have the right kind of data, you cannot have any artificial intelligence outcome. So that's basic. So that's one. And I'm not sure if everybody has the right kind of data. Now, provided that you do have this in place, I think there are 2 main directions. One direction is going to the efficiency point. So you're going to have AI driving efficiency gains, processes, operations, customer support, etc. And the other one is going to sit on the outcome side, meaning that it's going to facilitate what I called before this hyper-personalization, the massive personalization. So these are the 2 opposing ends I see, given that the data side is right, which is in most cases today not the case.
Thank you. Hugo?
Also, very briefly, when we talk about artificial intelligence, I believe that we need to be a little bit down to earth and to be realistic. So what I've seen in the first use cases of adoption is around what we have been talking here. So we need payments for fraud monitoring, fraud prevention. It was one of the first use cases that we start to use this new tool. Then the trend around analytics, meaning we have massive amounts of information that somehow artificial intelligence can help us to interpret it in real time. On one hand, to deliver the personalized experience already stated to the end customers, also internally for ourselves to deliver a better service in terms of monitoring, and also for corporates to deliver value-added service. So I believe that the 2 first use cases are exploring these massive amounts of information that we have. Eventually, in the future, the next step is to start to build on top and to monetize these massive amounts of information in complementary services around payments. Yeah.
Thank you. Alex?
But 30 seconds.
Just
like
30 seconds to build up on
Please.
Ernest's point on basically using the AI in the risk models and in the authentication. We are doing it today, even if at a very basic level. We have a lot of models in lots of industries, cards mainly, but many industries. These will improve with the technology. It's not that we are outsourcing authentication and risk models. We are going to still most probably go with the model that we have right now, not talk to, as a bank or payment processor, say that this AI took the decision. I don't know why he took the decision like this. It's going to be models that are going to build up and develop and improve on AI, leading to the embedded payment experience that needs to be frictionless. Authentication needs to happen in the back.
Thank you. Daniel?
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Daniel. Well
Thank
done.
you.
Well moderated.
Gentlemen, it was a big pleasure. Thank you so much. If there are any questions...
After the coffee break.
After the coffee break.
We are running out of time. Thank you so much. Warm applause. Thank you.